welcome to the desert. A beautiful Friday here in Arizona as the road trip continues. The Marlins and the Diamondbacks for the first time here in 2018. People filing into Chase Field. First of three here as the road trip continues. Inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Todd Hollandsworth. Well, speaking of the road trip, it started with a victory in San Diego on Memorial Day, but then after that, three consecutive losses as the Marlins look to bounce back tonight.
Well, they definitely look to bounce back, and maybe the Diamondbacks are, just what the doctor ordered. Let's certainly hope so. They've been playing a similar style of baseball where the pitching and the defense is kind of how they've been doing it. Their offense has really been struggling, which is a far cry from what it used to be here in the desert. Chase Field is playing much more like a pitcher's park now.
Absolutely. Well, there could be a lot of offense, at least from Brian Anderson, and that was the case in May, certainly making a bid for Rookie of the Month.
Well, he's doing outstanding things. He's definitely getting the bulk of playing time, but the numbers do stand out. In fact, if you compare him to just about all the other rookies, well, he's compiling some numbers, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's because he's holding his own. He's not playing streaky baseball, what a lot of times rookies will do. He's been as consistent as ever. A great month of May. We talk about the multi-hit games, the hits, the runs, and again, like I said, in some aspects compiling, but who cares? He's out there every day because he's not slumping.
One thing you said was as consistent as anyone, and that is usually what we say about Paul Goldschmidt. He has been in the mix for an MVP a number of times in his career, but so far here in 2018, he has been anything but.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of conversation throughout the three games that we're here about what's going on in the desert. Goldschmidt, Goldie, a perennial MVP candidate. He's a Gold Glove winner. He is a Silver Slugger winner. He's had tremendous numbers. Third in MVP voting last season. Is definitely dealing with the humidor. It's in effect here. I don't know if it's part of the psyche of some of these hitters, but the numbers are way down. And for Goldie, only his first home run of the season here at Chase. 29 games came in the last game he played.
Yeah, and again, we'll take a closer look at just the ups and the downs of the Diamondbacks so far here in the 2018 season. But first, we step aside. Eliezer Hernandez making his fourth start. He's been very consistent. When we come back, we check in with Jessica Blaylock after this. red hot desert. Let's go downstairs to Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, Eliezer Hernandez on the mound tonight for the Marlins. Only a couple of starts under his belt, but so far so good. He's been very steady, very consistent. Here is Don Mattingly on what has impressed him about his young starter.
I think command and the willingness to throw it over. You know, you never know what you're going to get. You got a Rule 5 kid that's hadn't pitched past high A, and him to come in and attack the strike zone. He did it in spring training. Seems a little unfazed, but I think that's what, to me, it's been impressive that he's been willing to throw the ball over the plate, you know, and see what happens.
What's the most important thing you have to focus on with a young arm like that who's trying to establish himself in a starting rotation?
I think just watching him and seeing his body language and kind of seeing some of the things we just talked about is, you know, is he afraid to throw it over? Is he trying to pick in the zone? You know, just obviously the mentality if he's not having the success that you want.
And the numbers have been good for Eliezer, a 2.50 ERA so far this season, but similar to Jose Urena, looking for his first win of the year. When we return, it is baseball in the desert. The roof is open here at Chase Field. The Marlins looking to get back on the right track in this 3-game series against the Diamondbacks.
Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota, let's go places. A very nice night, albeit the fact that it was about 100 degrees during the day, but it's cooled off a little, relatively speaking, for Arizona. But the roof is now open here at Chase Field as we get set to start this 3-game set. Glad you're with us on a Friday night as the road trip continues. Here is your Southwest batting order for the Marlins, and in the top spot for the first time all year, Starlin Castro. He has, of course, been mostly a 3-4 hitter, but leading things off for Don Mattingly today. And you got Miguel Rojas and JT Riddle, Lewis Brinson all hitting in front of Eliezer Hernandez. The pitcher on the other side for the Diamondbacks is Clay Buchholz. This is third start of the season and first here at Chase Field.
Yeah, that's right. He's been very, very good through 2 starts for the Diamondbacks. Great stuff 1.64 ERA, 11 innings. Get this, only 4 hits allowed. Hasn't struck out many, only 5, 1 walk, so good command, a couple of solo homers. Those are the earned runs. He's got a very, very good whip, obviously. But again, Buchholz is not familiar to the National League. He's actually quite new. He's only making his 5th start away from the Red Sox. That's what I was trying to get at. There you go. First rounder from the Red Sox in 05. 188 career starts for the Red Sox.
Started the season with the Kansas City Royals in AAA, exercised his opt-out clause and signed with the Diamondbacks. So here we go. First of 3, Diamondbacks and Marlins underway. A called strike to Starlin Castro. For Castro, 1 for 4 last night, 4 for 13 with a home run and 3 RBIs on the trip, or at least in that 4-game series against the San Diego Padres. And he lines one out into left center field for a leadoff base hit.
Before we get too far along, let's give you the scouting report for Clay Buchholz. Long road back. As I mentioned, only 4 starts in the last 2 years combined. Tonight is Buchholz's first start here at Chase Field. 3rd start overall for the Diamondbacks. Now, a little less is more, so he's lost a little bit. I told you about his long, lengthy career with the Red Sox. 81 wins, sub-4 ERA, 188 starts. So he's lost a little bit over his career numbers, but he's been very good so far in his first 2 starts. The sinker and the 4-seam fastball is his primary pitch. As I mentioned, a whip under 0.5. Fastball velocity right around 91. Main goal, not only for Clay Buchholz, but as well for the Diamondbacks, shorten the game. 35% of their games this season have been decided by 1 run. And there's only 2 members of this Diamondback bullpen that have an ERA over 2.7. So their whole goal is to get to those middle innings with a lead or a close ball game and get this thing turned over to the bullpen as quickly as possible.
This Diamondbacks team less than 100%, missing some key pieces. Another check over there at Castro at first base. Oh for 4 with a walk yesterday for Real Muto. 2 for 11 in San Diego. Doesn't chase that one low and away, and it's a ball and a strike.
Well, let me give you the arsenal for Buchholz tonight as well. As I mentioned, the 4-seam fastball and the sinker. He uses his secondary pitches quite balanced. There's not a primary. Maybe one's working a little bit more on one night as opposed to another. But generally speaking, the changeup, the curveball, and the cutter are all very big pitches. He throws the changeup 16%, the curveball 19%, and the cutter 16%.
So again, Buchholz gets the opportunity to work his way into this Diamondbacks rotation. They are without Randall Delgado. He threw today, in fact, targeting a return in the next week, 2 weeks, somewhere in there. Shelby Miller also working his way back. Sounds like another rehab start or 2 before he's back in the rotation. Of course, the big hit for this club earlier this year, Taijuan Walker needing Tommy John surgery to repair the UCL in his right elbow, so he's out for the year. Robbie Ray's dealing with an oblique injury, and again, that's just the starting rotation. A.J. Pollock, Steven Souza also not around for the Diamondbacks. Left side. They get the out at second. The relay over to first, not in time, so Real Muto reaches on a fielder's choice.
The Diamondbacks defensively for tonight's ball game. Peralta gets the start in left field. The speedy Dyson in center. Owings in right. Lamb at third. Marte at short. Descalzo gets the start at second base. Goldschmidt at first. Murphy, boy, oh boy, he's been hot offensively behind the plate for Buchholz.
Torey Lovullo, NL Manager of the Year last year in his first year as the skipper with the Diamondbacks. A 24-game improvement from the year prior. This is a Diamondbacks team that made it to the postseason, won one of the 2 wild cards in the National League, beat the Rockies. They were swept in the division series by the Dodgers, and after a terrific start to the season, 21-8 to begin the year, they have fallen on hard times. And they are certainly glad that May is over as Justin Bour swings and misses a ball and a strike. So they start the season 21-8, 7-19 since. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. A closer look here as to how things have gone so far for the Diamondbacks. Again, 20-8 in March and April, 21-8 before things really started to go south for them. They went from first place by 5.5 games to now a game and a half out of first place, trailing the Rockies in the National League West. Popped up right side, foul territory. Goldschmidt looks like he will have room for out number 2.
You're absolutely right. You kind of break down what the Diamondbacks have gone through. I think you're halfway through or a third of the way through your season. You're still trying to identify what this Diamondbacks team's all about. They are only the second team in Major League history to win 18 games in April, only to turn around and lose 18+ games in May.
Brian Anderson takes a look at a called strike. Anderson, a modest 4-game hit streak, hitting .412 in that span. And a couple of hits yesterday, a run scored, 7 for 17 on the road trip. So a hit in all 4 games against the Padres.
Well, he looks to be taking that outstanding May right into June. Much has changed. The confidence is starting to rise, and he's starting to drive the ball. I bet we'll see a little bit of a spike this month. I know he's only got the 2 home runs on the season, but my guess is we're probably going to see 4 or 5, if not more, this month. He's looked very, very good. Just missed a couple balls in San Diego.
Breaking ball outside, and it's 2-1.
Now, a pretty good example here to the middle of the lineup what Buchholz is doing. I mentioned how he divvies up his secondary pitches. Nothing but off-speed pitches to Bour. A plethora of curveballs here to Anderson.
Goldschmidt gives this one a look, but it will fall into the seats. He's got 17 multi-hit games on the year. And that not only leads the team, but is tied with Miguel Andujar of the New York Yankees for most among rookies. So it'll be interesting to see as the month ends and the voting begins for different things, players of the month, pitchers of the month, rookies, where Brian Anderson fits in. I mean, we've seen all of his at-bats in the month of May. Runner goes, driven out to center field, now over to right center field. Gerard Dyson has the speed to close in and grab out number 3. We'll see Eliezer Hernandez when we come back. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you. The Southwest batting order for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Daniel Descalso, been a big part of what this team has been trying to do as of late, but again, really just trying to get out of their own way as a club. In the recent weeks, all of May, basically, what we were talking about before, they have struggled offensively. 12 runs on Wednesday before their day off, a season high. So Eliezer Hernandez will try to keep this offense quiet tonight, making his 4th start, and I think one word would be consistent. That's about what he has been through 3 starts.
Well, and I think that's what Don Mattingly has set up for him. He's gone 5 innings in all 3 starts. He's given up 2 earned runs or less in all 3 starts, and he's right around 75 pitches in all 3 starts. Interesting to see if he's given a little bit more. But there they are. And pretty good results. I think the one thing that catches our attention the most, the 1 walk. Certainly you'd love to say that the strikeout totals are going to go up over time, but he's been very, very good. He's a young man, like I said, taking this all on and in stride quite quickly. And thrust into this rotation with some element of expectation. And the rotation has been pitching very well lately. Fastball, changeup, slider tonight.
He's a guy that works quick, gets the ball, is ready to roll. He pounds the strike zone. Not afraid of contact. He's been able to, as I always say, miss barrels and not bats, inducing soft contact. And again, nobody's asking him to be Nolan Ryan and go out there and throw 9 innings every night. He's doing his job, getting it to the bullpen. He's been consistent.
Give him a chance to win a baseball game.
But he walks Descalso to begin the evening.
As fast as we said how good he has been avoiding the walks, he walks the first hitter. All right, here we go. Dietrich. He's in left field tonight for the Marlins. Brinson in center, Anderson in right. Rojas gets the start at third. Riddle, Castro, Bohr, and Real Muto behind the plate for Hernandez.
So in steps Paul Goldschmidt. Or at least the guy that's been wearing Paul Goldschmidt's uniform. This is a guy, and of course I say that in jest, a 5-time All-Star and the only National League position player to make each of the last 5 All-Star teams. But the 7 home runs on the season, not terrible, but just 1 here at Chase Field.
Yeah, that just came in his last game. 6 RBIs. I'm gonna give you his triple slash line in a second. You kind of saw the chin come off the baseball right there as he pulled off just a little bit. All right, here's his numbers at Chase. Well, there you go. We'll show it to you as well. 158, 328. So he's been taking his walks, although he does have an awful lot of strikeouts. 253 slugging percentage. That is absolutely amazing to me.
Out toward right center field, and that one is going to fall. 2 on to begin the first for Arizona.
I'll tell you what, I think it's almost as if Paul Goldschmidt knows his head came off his first swing. This, he kept his head down so long, and it was so deliberate that he almost jammed himself on purpose and really tried to stay inside this baseball. Didn't hit it hard, just kind of dumped it in right field. It's a base hit either way you look at it. A little in-game adjustment that he just made, paying dividends.
He's starting to heat up a little bit now. 8 for his last 25. 2 on for Jake Lamb. A called strike. Lamb was 1 for 10, couple of RBIs, 3 walks in the series against the Cincinnati Reds for yesterday's off day.
And he's been scuffling. 1 for his last 17 over his last 5 games.
Dave McKay leaping out of the way there down the first base line.
Now you look at some of their offensive issues. I think a lot of it gets pointed in the direction of this man Lamb. Now he spent an awful lot of time on the disabled list, but obviously Goldschmidt at first base. Last year for Lamb, how about this? Career highs, hits 133, home runs 30, RBIs 105. They're hoping to get that player back.
No swing, says third base umpire Will Little. Tom Woodring is at second base. Kerwin Danley is at first, and the crew chief Ted Barrett is the home plate umpire tonight. .289, 14 and 45 was about halfway to his first All-Star campaign last year.
Now, to his defense, he's missed some time on the disabled list, but definitely the numbers down. And as we mentioned in the open, and we've mentioned already in the pregame, there is a humidor here in Arizona that didn't exist. It hasn't existed in the 19 previous seasons here. So Torey Lovullo and the staff, and I think even the fans and the players are waiting to, process a little more data. Of course, they've only played this is their 30th game here in the stadium with the humidor.
1-2 is driven down the line and foul. Just a little out in front of that one. A little different than the last two starts for Hernandez, and I mean starts like the beginning to the outings. Last start against Washington, retired 6 of the first 7. Start previous, retired 7 of the first 8. But here tonight, 2 on, nobody out, and the heart of the Diamondbacks order at the plate. They check again. In fact, they don't check. Home plate umpire Ted Barrett says swing, and that is out number 1.
Well, a huge first out in a very big spot. He's got some quick hands. Boy, he got some pullback, but it certainly looked like he was out in front. And a big out for Hernandez here in the first.
And now John Ryan Murphy digs in. One of 3 catchers that are on the roster for the Diamondbacks. You don't really see that very often. Jeff Mathis on the roster, basically a package deal with Zach Greinke, who starts tomorrow night. Alex Avila signed to a 2-year deal in the offseason, but neither one of those 2 guys hitting the ball right now, and it's basically the exact opposite. See, they even sit together, Greinke and Mathis. 7 homers, 15 RBIs, career highs for John Ryan Murphy, who sends this one out to left field. Dietrich started back a step, now running in, and will make the catch, 2 away.
Nice job by Dietrich in recovering. Yeah, high fly ball to left. Stayed up there a little bit longer, gave him a chance to get back underneath it. And when you haven't spent an enormous amount of time in the outfield, a lot of times the first thing you fall victim to is the swing of the bat. You see a big swing and you see arms get extended, and the first thing you think is back. Big swing, ball must be going over my head. Not always the case.
So after a walk and a base hit, a strikeout and a flyout, 2 on and 2 out for David Peralta. Peralta was 1 for 8 with an RBI in the series against the Reds. Been very productive with runners in scoring position, of which he's got one right now. 4-14 this year, 12 for 29. That's going to be a base hit into right field. Anderson gets to it before it gets to the wall. And it's an RBI for Peralta, a 1-0 lead for Arizona.
Well, as fast as you said it, Paul, you're spot on. Comes through in a clutch. 2 outs, runner in scoring position, able to come up with a big base hit. And is up in the zone. Trying to get in on the hands, trying to jam him. Well, the one thing that Peralta did, and you got to give him some credit again, it didn't miss JT's glove by much. The fact that he kept his hands in and was able to rotate and drive it into right.
So first and third, and in steps Ketel Marte. There's a strike. Marte was 3 for 10 against the Reds. Couple of doubles, couple of RBIs, 3 runs scored.
Well, the Diamondbacks have been in such a funk offensively as a unit. As we were pulling in today, we were kind of setting up shop here in the booth. Paul, we looked out and we saw the Arizona Diamondbacks doing some early work. So the pitching machine out there on the field throwing pretty hard. And we saw the entire Arizona Diamondbacks team taking early work. I was blown away. I've never really seen that. Usually early work is reserved for 3 or 4 guys that might be struggling a little bit, maybe want a few swings, but not everybody wants it. And I'm not saying that it was necessarily mandatory, but attendance was at 100%. And I think that's the point. Diamondbacks trying to right the ship offensively.
Blocked by Real Muto.
And here's a good look. This is Paul Goldschmidt doing some early work, and there were 2 waves, almost two separate groups that came in. This was Goldie's group. He was out first, and then there was another group that came in after them.
About 4 hours before first pitch.
Right. Yeah, and they were working hard. I'm telling you, there was no messing around. It wasn't light batting practice. They actually had a machine set up that was throwing rather hard.
It was humming it in.
Yeah.
Grounded to short. Riddle will step on the bag. Well, Hernandez threw a lot of pitches, worked around some base runners, but did allow a run. 1-0 D-backs after 1. Lead, an RBI single for David Peralta. So a 1-0 lead for Clay Buchholz to work with. Derek Dietrich, Miguel Rojas, and JT Riddle 5, 6, and 7 to up for the Marlins here in the 2nd inning. Ball 1 low to Derek Dietrich. Had a 3-hit game last night. A home run, an RBI. 5 for 9 during his 4-game hit streak.
Well, if ever there was the time, I'm talking exit velocity with Dietrich right now. A couple of short conversations before the game. He's just got that look in his eye like if he sees the ball out over the plate, it's going to get hit hard. You can almost guarantee it. He's locked in right now. Let's take another look at the home run last night. I was ranting and raving. When you turn 94, 95 around at the letters, you know you're locked in. You've got to be on time. It takes a special swing really to get on top of a ball that high in the zone. You may trick him, but I'll tell you what, if he sees it, he'll hit it hard.
He crushed that one to right field last night.
Well, and he's hitting everything hard right now. I mean, everything off his bat. I mean, whether it's left field, whether we're talking to right, I mean, it's coming off the barrel and it's coming off hard. First swing in batting practice today, he rocketed one off the wall in center.
This one lined out to center field, and it's going to fall in front of Jarrod Dyson. A base hit for Dietrich to begin the 2nd.
Celebrate our 25th anniversary weekend with an exclusive teal Life brand t-shirt commemorating Marlins history. For just $20, you'll get our limited edition shirt and a game ticket for June 8th. Visit marlins.com/offers today.
Now Miguel Rojas. After Dietrich got the base hit to extend it to a 5-game hit streak. Rojas takes a called strike. He was 0 for 4 yesterday. 3 for 13 with an RBI in San Diego. Back to Buchholz. Thought about second, but will get the sure out at first. And there's one away.
Well, first time through a steady diet of breaking pitches to just about everybody. I think Buchholz probably has a play at second base if he wants it, but certainly didn't feel secure enough to try to make a bang play. Just takes the out at first. Well, opportunity with a runner in scoring position for JT Riddle.
Riddle's only had 4 of these chances, 1 for 4 with a runner in scoring position since being recalled a week or so ago.
Well, JT 4 hits in San Diego, including the inside the park home run. A couple of nice base hits the other way. Two hits yesterday.
Certainly would like to, and he is taking steps in those directions to pick up where he left off when he was in New Orleans. He's hitting .346 when he got called up. He's had a couple of hit streaks, 5 and 6 games down there. This one is tapped foul, still 0-2.
Well, first time through. You're passing information down the line. We've shown you that a few times. The Marlins dugout talking about what they're seeing out there on the field. For Buchholz, he is really using an awful lot of secondary pitches early. The challenge for the Marlins right now is to stay back, see that baseball, maybe use the middle of the field a little bit more. Buchholz will not overwhelm you with velocity.
Marlins were 9 for 23 with runners in scoring position in San Diego. That's a .391 average. They also left 21 men on base in that series. Should be a productive out, moving Dietrich to third, but 2 away here in the second. And now Lewis Brinson. Oh for 4 in last night's ball game. Tying run 90 feet away. Same ballpark that he made his major league debut in last year. Glad to be back. One of many that walk into Chase Field, look around and say it's a nice yard. This one chopped to third, but foul. Oh, 2 to Brinson. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. It's the first strikeout of the night for Buchholz. Through an inning and a half. Diamondbacks have a 1-0 lead. Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. A nice night here in Phoenix. Again, temperatures up in the right around 100, 99, 100, 101, something like that in the afternoon. As they say, it's a dry heat, though. Something like that. But at first pitch, 89 degrees. That's why the roof was closed during batting practice, opened it up, and it's turned out to be a very pleasant evening. As Chris Owings will lead things off. 7, 8, 9 due up for the Diamondbacks. Gerard Dyson and Clay Buchholz up after Owings. Inside, 1-1.
Well, Owings, one of the hotter hitters for the Diamondbacks. 3 for 8 on the homestand. Does have a home run. Scored 3 runs as well. That's kind of the state of affairs with the Diamondbacks. You're hot, you're playing. We'll find a spot for you in the lineup. Coming into tonight's ball game at Chase Field, they're hitting .217 as a team with a .299 on base percentage.
Popped up, foul territory. Bohr giving chase, and that one is going to get into either the camera well or somewhere close to it, just out of his reach. 2-2. Yeah, this used to be a hitter's haven.
Oh, one of the best. I had the privilege of playing in this building. It's a beautiful stadium. It's been here for 20 years now. 19 of them didn't have a humidor. Now, I'm not just blaming it on the humidor. I'm probably blaming some of it on the psyche of the hitter and the humidor.
Another pop up. Again to the right side. Long run for Anderson. Tracks it down in foul ground.
Oh, nicely done. Long run for Brian Anderson. Does a fantastic job of setting his hips. You'll see what I'm talking about. Watch this. Your full speed pursuit after the baseball. Now, you want to stay behind it? Set your hips. You kind of widen out there your base as you get to the baseball so that you get yourself under control and you're able to kind of put your glove up over your head without wobbling all over the place for those last 2 steps. Well done. Yeah, the numbers are just absolutely amazing. I mean, 5.64 runs per game here last year. They're on pace for 3.7 this season. I think the one that catches everybody's attention is the long ball. Simply put, they did have J.D. Martinez last year, but 122 home runs for the Arizona Diamondbacks here at Chase Field. This year they're on pace for 67. I don't think they're fans of the humidor.
I would tend to agree. 2-0 to Gerard Dyson. Misses
maybe
outside.
some like spray paint on the humidor door with some like nasty words.
That's right.
Like "go away, you bleep bleep bleep," right?
Something like that. Something like
Who put this thing in here?
Yeah. That one is ball 4 to Gerard Dyson. You saw the numbers there for J.D. Martinez. I mean, he came over from the Detroit Tigers at middle of last season.
Right.
62 games here, and there was talk of him being NL MVP.
He got out of town just in the nick of time. Good for you, JD. Smart guy. Went to Boston. Keeps hitting home runs. He stays here. He might have like 3.
That's right.
Goodness gracious. Everybody's suffering around here. Somebody needs to go unplug the humidor.
Apparently it's just standing in a hallway somewhere. So
well,
apparently you've got access to it.
Well, you're right. I mean,
maybe on Sunday afternoon I'll go and unplug it. I'm not going to do it now.
I'll tell you, I know some people that'd be happy if you did. All right, there's one other aspect here at Chase Field that's a new dynamic, and it's certainly worth mentioning. We'll see how much it plays into this series. See the fastball high. Here's what it is. They've changed the playing surface as well.
True.
So my understanding, of course, the one that I played on, and I believe that it hasn't changed in 19 years as far as the type of grass that they were using, but it was like a putting green, meaning rockets through the infield, lots of hits. And that's why I do dare mention what their batting average as a team last year, 274. They had an 842 OPS as a team last year. This year they're at 661. This grass, it's full, it's thick, and it's slow. I had a conversation with Bone, our great infield coach / first base coach, Perry Hill. He said it's one of the slowest infields in baseball right now. So that's taking hits away as well. I feel Goldschmidt's frustration. It's like taking away all the toys.
Bunted by Buchholz. Rojas calls everybody off, makes the play. And over to second with 2 outs goes Dyson. Back to the top of the order for Daniel Descalso. Walked and scored in the first inning. Mentioned before, he's been such a big part of what this Diamondbacks offense is trying to do through their struggles right now. Hitting .308, 9 doubles, 4 triples, 2 triples, 4 homers, and 18 RBIs in his last 32 games.
Right. Well, he's turned into an everyday player. It's kind of their version of Ben Zobrist, as we like to say. We've talked about it in regards to kind of Brian Anderson. I mean, get this. He started at third base. He started at second base. He started in left field, first base. He's also pitched this year, by the way. Maybe we'll get into that some other point. And he's DH'd. So, I mean, he kind of does it all for the Diamondbacks.
A longtime St. Louis Cardinal. A little bit of time with the Colorado Rockies. We will be in St. Louis. That's the next stop on this 3-city trip. Cardinals currently trailing the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-0 in the 8th inning right now. Marlins trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. But there are 2 away as Hernandez tries to strand Dyson, but this one is sent out to right field. Anderson is back, and that one is gone. Daniel Descalso, a 2-run home run, and it's 3-0 Arizona.
Well, thigh-high fastball and a hitter's count. 2-0 for Daniel Descalso. Well, he's ready to hit and takes full advantage of it. Well, let's take another look. Remember, this is a 2-0 pitch. One more look. A little tailing action, but thigh high. That's what you're doing as a hitter. You're sitting there thinking 2-0. This is where my best swing comes out. You work middle, and then you expand a little bit, but you don't get off the corner. So that pitch right there was going to be swung at by Descalso because of its location.
Ball and 2 strikes to Paul Goldschmidt, who had the base hit back in the first inning. Well, for Hernandez, first time that he's given up more than 2 earned runs in a start.
Well, we've talked to you about the walks. Hernandez pretty good at not issuing them. 2 of them tonight, both have scored.
Here comes a 2-2 to Goldschmidt, and it misses outside as the count runs full with 2 away. It's been only 2 batters that Hernandez has faced a 3rd time. But the 2nd time through, that's where all 3 of the homers have been. And that 2nd turn through the order. This one is chopped to Riddle at short. And Goldschmidt is retired, but a Descalso 2-run home run has given the Marlins a 3-0 deficit here at Chase Field.
Nothing lead. Starlin Castro due up this inning. Now, yesterday the Marlins were in San Diego finishing up their series against the Padres, and we noticed something as Eliezer Hernandez is at the plate. We noticed that Christian Villanueva was using a bat belonging to Starlin Castro, and we know what he did with that ball. He crushed it and sent it out to left field. That was a home run for the rookie Villanueva. Now, I had to get to the bottom of this story, so I asked Starlin Castro about the relationship with Villanueva. He said the two were actually together in Chicago with the Cubs from 2012 to 2015. They developed a great bond, so much so that Villanueva would use Starlin's bats for spring training and in the minor leagues. So in game 1 of that series against the Padres, Villanueva asked if he could have one of Starlin's bats. Well, Starlin didn't get it to him until game 4, as Eliezer Hernandez is retired. And guys, we just saw what Villanueva was able to do with that bat. And yes, Starlin Castro was thinking to himself, you've got to be kidding me on that home run.
Is that anything that would have happened 15 years ago?
Yeah, but I think there would have been a stipulation. Here's the bat. Don't you dare think about swinging it until we leave town. that would have been the stipulation. Yeah. Let's admit, you don't want to see what happened happen.
Right. Well, Castro, assuming that he's using his own bat here, fouls one off, and it's 0-1.
Well, Castro in the leadoff spot. In fact, led this game off with a base hit. You shouldn't be surprised. He's done it. That was his 530th actual plate appearance out of the leadoff spot, but it's been a while. Last time he's led off a ball game, 2015.
Skies one out to right field. This is Owings, 2 away. Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go. Nobody on, 2 out for JT Realmuto, who had his 7-game hit streak snapped with an 0 for yesterday, but over the course of his last 8 coming into today, hitting .353. And now drills this one out to left center field, off the wall. That'll be extra bases for Realmuto with 2 outs here in the 3rd.
A good swing by JT, elevated into the letters. We get on top of it, drive it off that left center field wall. I'll tell you what, that may be a pretty good example of what's been going on here at Chase. I thought off the bat that had a very good chance of leaving the yard. In fact, I thought it was a home run.
You beat me to the punch. He's not going to give back his 10th double of the season, as Justin Bour takes low and in, but that's exactly what I was going to ask, was, is that the difference between last year and this year?
Well, it certainly is the difference in a run right here in this game. We'll have to see a little bit more throughout this series really to be able to tell, but I've been told if the roof is open, it plays a little bit more fair. All I can say is when I played here, and I played enough games here to qualify for this conversation, this was a launching pad. I mean, this was right there with Colorado. Great place to hit. You had a few more breaking balls here, but fast infield, ball flew. You could bang them off any wall. You had lefties had power to left, righties had power to right. You had all sorts of rewards here. Not sure that's the case any longer.
Well, it is the second highest in terms of elevation, second to Coors Field. So that's the dry air, everything else, part of the reason why they've installed the humidor. That ball off the bat of Realmuto was a shade under 103 miles per hour. In scoring position, though, for Justin Bour.
Yeah, that's a telling sign on a 3-0 pitch from Buchholz. My goodness. Moves to the changeup. Justin Bour off balance. Bour has seen nothing but secondary pitches. He's been a big time run producer against the Diamondbacks and here at Chase Field.
The hitter's pitch on 3-1, and he'll take low. Well, he finished May with 23 walks to lead the National League. He begins June with one in his second plate appearance tonight. Time for the Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Once again, it's all about the walks. Justin Bour now with 38 this season. Everybody looking up at Mike Trout, who's up to 50. Boy, it's either like walk or home run with that Trout guy. Nobody believes me, but I think he's going to be something.
He's got a shot at an MVP.
What year are you talking about? All of them?
All of them. A big spot for Brian Anderson. We continue to rave about his work, his discipline, his quality at bats. Deep fly ball to center field to the warning track his first time up on a breaking ball. See what he does here in at bat 2. Well, whatever it is, it's going to be with 2 strikes.
Not afraid of the 2 strikes. He's got 60 hits this season. 26 have come with 2 strikes. He's able to find one here. Might get the Marlins on the board. And it comes up empty. Buckholt strands a couple of Marlins. As we head to the bottom of the 3rd here at Chase Field, it's 3-0. As we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning, it's Jake Lamb, John Ryan Murphy, and David Peralta. As JT Realmuto with a double in the top of this inning, just missed a home run, drilled it off the wall in left center field. But the Marlins still find themselves down 3 here in the bottom of the 3rd. Eliezer Hernandez's first pitch is outside to Lamb. Lamb struck out in the 1st inning, the only strikeout tonight for Hernandez. Mattingly said before the game about Eliezer Hernandez that what he really likes about him is his command, his willingness to throw strikes. Now he has the 2 walks and both have come around to score. But from a general sense, we've heard Mattingly talk about it. Michael Hill, assistant GM Brian Chatton. All these guys rave about this as this one sent out the other way to left center field, and a home run for Lamb. The second homer allowed tonight by Hernandez. 4-0.
Now second home run of the season for Jake Lamb. Well, this is part of what we watched during batting practice today. Many of these hitters trying to go the other way and really stay disciplined. Almost looks like they're giving them a little treatment in the Diamondbacks dugout. Second home run of the game. Let's take another look. It's a backup slider. He meets it out in front. I'm fairly certain that was getting out off the bat.
John Ryan Murphy flew out to Derek Dietrich in the first inning. Now, what I was saying before the home run was just his willingness to attack the strike zone. Now tonight he's gotten burned. The times when he's missed, he's issued walks. Those walks have come around to score. When he is attacked, they've been able to connect for the home runs.
Well, the contact's been a little different tonight, Paul. It's been off that barrel. A lot of times we talk bad contact when it comes to Hernandez. He's been pretty good at getting it. Even the pop-ups, much like that, are coming off the barrel. Hitters are missing them up, hitting them hard. Take a trip to 1993 as the Marlins celebrate their 25th anniversary. Join us the weekend of June 8th through the 10th for some of your favorite World Series champs, throwback moments, giveaways, and much more. Rep your teal as the Marlins take on the Padres in our throwback jerseys. Visit marlins.com/25.
I'm repping my teal today.
I see that. Well done. It's a nice tie.
Yep. This one's going to be back around for the June 8th through the 10th.
You win stylish tie of the night, but I win best knot.
It's a good knot.
Come on.
It's a very nice knot. You were just proud that you got it done on the first try.
But it's like dead center perfect tonight. A lot of times it's a little well, I'm a lefty, so
the dimple.
Yeah, you know exactly right. I mean, you can't beat that, pal.
No, I think it looks great.
Yours is. I think I like your tie better than I like my tie, but I got to admit my knots. You nailed it, man. You're
so modest, and that's what I love about you.
I'm proud of my knots. It's the little things that make me happy. It's
it's the small victories in life, right?
I like your teal tie, though. You better rep that next weekend.
Well, I brought it on the road trip, and see, like these are problems that we have.
Right.
You can't wear the same tie on the road trip twice. So you got it. We have what?
Why? We're only on the road for 2 weeks.
I know, but you can't.
Well, that's true. I mean, I didn't bring any double-ups, but I'm with you.
Because I've heard other broadcasters, they get called on the carpet when they do that. As Peralta pops one up, foul ground just out of the reach of Miguel Rojas. Yeah, fans will watch. I mean, they're honest and keeping us honest. You know,
I'm with you.
You know. Or you could just wear a polo shirt, the way that
Bob Brenly, BB,
Fox, Arizona guys do. Steve Berthiaume on the left, Bob Brenly on the right. Manager in 2001 when this team won a World Series. As Peralta sends one the other way down the line, and that one is gone. A home run for David Peralta.
Well, I think it's this point of the game where I retract everything I said about Chase Field and their lack of power that we've seen here in this building. My goodness. I don't know if it's the roof's open. Ball's flying out of here tonight. My goodness. Well, let me say this. Elevated. There's a common theme here from both the lefties this inning. Lamb up, breaking ball. Peralta up, fastball. Juan Nieves is going to make his way out to the mound, have a little chat with Hernandez. Let's take another look. just inside the foul pole. Three home runs tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 3 home runs off the bat of lefties.
Descalso pulled his home run, then Jake Lamb went the opposite way, and then using every inch of that left field line, David Peralta a home run as Harlan Garcia loosens up. Ketel Marte swings through it. 2 of the 3 home run hitters tonight. Peralta on the left and Lamb on the right. It's 5-0 Arizona. 0-2. Marte grounded into a fielder's choice to end the first inning. And now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hernandez over 60 pitches. 3 of them have left the yard, however. Diamondbacks with a 5-0 lead.
Now, it's been brought to my attention when they do hit home runs here at Chase Field, they hit them in bunches. This is the fourth home game this season here at Chase in which they've hit 3 home runs or more.
Out to left field. Dietrich is in, and he will make the catch for out number 2. And now Chris Owings. Couple of home runs in the inning for the Diamondbacks. Now this is a club that took 2 of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds before yesterday's off day. Another pop up. It'll be Rojas for out number 3. 2 homers, and it's now a 5-0 deficit. evening in Phoenix. Top of the fourth inning, a 5-0 lead for the Diamondbacks. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, Jessica Blaylock. First of a 3-game set between the Marlins and the D-backs. Derek Dietrich to lead things off. Miguel Rojas and JT Riddle against Clay Buchholz, who now has a 5-run lead to work with. First pitch to Dietrich in there for a called strike. A base hit back in the second inning for Dietrich. A 5-game hit streak for him.
Well, Buchholz has started to really work towards the edges. Some traffic there in the third. He's actually had some traffic in just about each inning. We've seen the game plan tonight. Stay with the mix.
Really an interesting story. Again, this is the guy you noted all the starts with the Boston Red Sox before landing with the Philadelphia Phillies last year. Made 2 starts with them. Gets the called strike 3 on Dietrich for the first out here in the fourth, his 4th. Yeah, 2 starts with the Phillies last year. A right forearm strain. Placed on the DL April 15th. Underwent surgery to repair a torn flexor tendon on April 18th. Then he latches on with the Kansas City Royals before exercising the opt-out clause, and then comes over to the Diamondbacks, and now he's been terrific in this, his 3rd start with the club, who we noted before is certainly without some arms in their rotation.
Well, he's taking full advantage of the opportunity he's been given, whether it's here and it stays here in the desert. Buchholz is catching the attention around baseball that he's back. He's essentially missed almost 2 entire seasons. Now he's got a track record, 81 career victories, all with the Boston Red Sox, by the way. And certainly a lot of history to go along with it, but he's not terribly old. And I don't think there's necessarily the idea that this is somebody just that's necessarily hanging on. But when you miss extended time, ball to short. Second out here in the 4th. When you miss that much time, Paul, you kind of end up in a position where people start to label you, and I think that's kind of what he's in the position to defeat, so to speak, is the label. And I think over the last few seasons it's been, well, it's Clay Buchholz. He gets injured a lot. He misses an awful lot of time. I mean, he needs to capitalize on as many starts as he gets here in Arizona. And my guess is that if he continues to pitch well, he'll continue to be in the rotation. But if not, people around the game are taking notice. It's so interesting. You look at Buchholz's arsenal, and it's almost like he's kind of caught back up with the times. You look at his career numbers and his usage of the 4-seam fastball and the sinker and then the secondary pitches. He pitches backwards, and a lot of times backwards is the new norm in the game this year.
A quick 4th inning as the Marlins go 3 up, 3 down, trailing 5-0. By Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the Cleveland Clinic, stiff joints, aches and pains, trust Cleveland Clinic Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by La Lechonera, the original mojo since 1970. Back here at Chase Field, 5-0 Diamondbacks as we go to the last of the 4th inning. We've seen the last of Eliezer Hernandez as he gives way to Harlan Garcia. 3 innings of work, 5 hits and 5 earned for Hernandez. As Garcia, again, back in the bullpen the last couple of weeks in an effort to manage the innings. Worked an inning the other day in San Diego, but prior to that has been banged around a little bit. The first pitch swinging by Gerard Dyson is a base hit past the dive of JT Riddle. A leadoff knock here in the 4th. And the 4 outings before that, 3 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 7 earned runs. Certainly we have seen Harlan Garcia at his best at times. When he got into the starting rotation, boy oh boy did he look terrific. And now adjusting to a different role in an effort to kind of put a little drag on the innings this year. Could have something to do with it.
Harlan needs to get back into rhythm, and I think that's really what he's lacked over those starts that you mentioned, where he was giving up the earned runs and was getting hit much harder than when we saw him early on. And I speak to that rhythm. I mean, there's evidence there. Listen, the fastball was actually, when he was hot, for example, hitters weren't being necessarily fooled by his fastball. They were actually fouling it off quite a bit or putting it in play poorly. And that's the idea. He was getting a lot of bad contact. See, what's going on right now is that he's found the middle of the plate and he kind of can't get back to those corners. As soon as that comes back, I really think his secondary pitches will play and he'll start to get the results that we saw earlier. A lot of times he's been jumped. I've noticed the last 2 or 3 outings. This one's going to get away, and Dyson's going to push it. He's going to push it, and he's going to get there. How about it?
He is speedy. That one got away from Justin Bohr, and Dyson didn't think twice. Give the error to Harlan Garcia. Either way, Dyson is on at second now.
Let's take another quick look. This kind of ties JB up just a little bit. Didn't take much. Dyson didn't need much space to get to second.
Buchholz chops it, and Garcia makes the play, and in doing so keeps Dyson at second.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
Second baseman, Daniel Descalso.
That'll bring up Daniel Descalso back to the top of the order here for the Diamondbacks. Hit a home run in the second inning, a 2-run shot. Also walked and scored in the first. 3 home runs tonight for Arizona, 9 homers in the last 4 games for them. So the offense starting to come to life for the D-backs. They had hit 9 in the previous 17 games. Inside, spins him around. Well, home runs have also been the bugaboo for Garcia as of late. Worked an inning against the Padres, as I mentioned a couple of days ago, but had prior to that given up home runs in 4 straight outings including a couple of home runs against the Braves, 3 homers against the Braves, 3 homers against the Cubs. Another look at Descalso's home run earlier tonight. So the homers have been the story both for the D-backs tonight and for Harlan Garcia in the last few weeks. Popped up, foul ground, Rojas for out number 2.
First baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
I'll give you some numbers right off the top. You mentioned kind of going back to the Cubs start. This is when he was still in the rotation and things started to kind of get away from Garcia. Here's the point. 2 main pitches being the 4-seamer and the slider to a left-handed hitter. Ground ball to the left side. That'll end the inning. I will finish my thought. The start of the next inning.
That's right. You might see more of Garcia. 5-0 through 4. Marlins live pregame show coming up tomorrow. Presented to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. Caleb Smith, Zach Greinke, the 2 starting pitchers in that one. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson have you covered live here at Chase Field. Coming off another good start for Caleb Smith. 4 strikeouts, which is a little off the norm, but a billion pop-ups the other day. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, listen, man, it's the way it works sometimes. Listen, we're getting used to watching him get close to double digits, right?
Right.
Caleb, listen, the San Diego Padres, they went out, they were swinging the bats. He pitched into the 8th inning for crying out loud. So you got to be fair. I think that was really a nice adjustment by Caleb Smith. I'm with you, though. Let's see how the Diamondbacks treat him tomorrow. The Diamondbacks haven't seen him.
Brinson fouls one back. It's Brinson and then Harlan Garcia and Starlin Castro. Yeah, I mean, we go into every Caleb Smith start saying, let's take a look at how many strikeouts he'll get tonight, or here's your strikeout rate, the swinging miss strikes, and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden, it was just pop up, pop up, pop up. It's fun to watch.
You know, my favorite Caleb Smith one is?
Which one?
Ball down the middle of the plate. By far. It's still under 100.
It's fascinating.
Oh, it is. I mean, think about it. I mean, speaking from a hitter's perspective, I mean, everything that we practice basically works off the ball down the middle of the plate to the corners.
Right.
Thigh high. He owns the ball right down the middle of the plate. Hitters hitting under 100.
He called strike 3. And that's now 5 strikeouts tonight for Clay Buchholz.
Pitcher, Arlen Garcia.
It's time for This Day in Marlins History, presented to you by Geico. June 1st, back in 1993, Greg Riley, the first Marlin with 2 homers in a game, the last of his 29 career home runs. He retired after the 93 season. Just under 600 career games. Arlen Garcia looking for his first big league hit. He smacks it foul. Good pass at that one. Still 0-2. But we'll see how long Garcia gets tonight. Out of the bullpen, he is, at least since leaving the rotation, he's gone no more than 2 innings pitched. Of course, worked 6 innings in relief earlier this season in 1 game, 4 innings in his next, and then all of a sudden was in the rotation. But his first outing as a reliever, May 19th, 2 innings against the Braves. May 27th, 2 innings against the Nationals, and an inning on the 29th against the Padres. Two and 2. Stays alive. First time that Buchholz is seeing the Marlins since 2012, when he was with the Boston Red Sox. June 12th and 19th, so just about back-to-back starts. And called strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts in the inning. That's now 6 for Buchholz.
Second baseman, Starlin Castro.
Starlin Castro takes on Clay Buchholz, presented to you by AARP. 2 for 11, couple of strikeouts. But one of those 2 in the first inning. And lined out to center field, Dyson tracks it down. Couple of strikeouts in the inning for Buchholz, the most that he's had in the game at any level this year. He's up 5-0.
5-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Well, the Midsummer Classic is rapidly approaching, and all-star voting has begun. Here is how you can fill out your ballot. Visit MLB.com. Just a reminder, you can vote up to 35 times, 5 times a day, but get those votes in. The voting closes July 5th at 11:59 p.m. And guys, Don Mattingly has always called JT Realmuto an all-star in the making. No doubt this season he is backing that up with his numbers.
I would tend to agree with Don Mattingly as well, as JT Realmuto has been a big part of this offense since coming back.
All-star made. It would be a huge injustice if he does not end up at the All-Star game. I have a feeling I would get awfully Tony post All-Star break coming back.
Awfully Tony?
Yeah, Tony. Yeah, I'd be angry. I had a little tone in my voice. Might be a little bit more anger. You know what I mean? If he's not at the All-Star game, I'd be shocked.
I would agree with you. Never heard anyone refer to themselves as awfully Tony.
Yeah, well, I'm losing 5-0 here. Let's go.
You're a little Tony right now.
Yeah, trying not to be. All right, Harlan Garcia, here's what you need to know. We were talking about last inning, how he's trying to improve, and we've told you that the fastball command is a big part of it. Like to see 95 right there. Keep that going. He's going to get good results. All right, so you kind of pegged it, right? That start in Chicago was where things started to get away from him. So I went back and looked at all the numbers, and we've continued to talk about his fastball opening up his game. Through all of this, his slider and his changeup have actually been pretty good, even when he was getting hit hard. But here's the problem. He hasn't been able to get to the pitches because his fastball is getting smashed.
This is perfectly placed with nobody on that side of the infield, and Lamb is going to reach.
Now let's take a look. Nobody over on the left side. Lamb really no intentions of going over there. In fact, it just kind of happened. Hits it off the end of the bat. Slow roller to the left side. Second hit of the night. All right, so here's the evidence. I want to get it to you before we get too far along here. 223 four-seam fastballs that he threw when he was hot. He was dealing, going all the way back to when he came out of the bullpen and threw 6 fabulous innings against the Cubs early on. Hitters were hitting 170 against his fastball.
Murphy has done it again. A 2-run home run, his 8th of the year. Previous career high 3. He's now at 8. And it's 7-0.
Yeah, he's got a career high in home runs and RBIs this season already. The 4th spot in the lineup because of his bat and the production. Yeah, wasted no time. And that first hit by Lamb, luck. This not so much. Look where it lends up. Thigh high, middle of the plate. It's a slider. Didn't do much. Now, before somebody else swings again, I'm going to get this out. I'm telling you, here's what you need to know. Harlan Garcia, that 4-seam fastball, prior to 170 batting average against. Since that day in Chicago, 484 with 7 home runs allowed.
Chop to Bohr, who will take it himself, and Peralta is retired. But it's been what? Mislocation?
No, he's got to get his fastball back on the edges. I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. His fastball hasn't changed. He's still throwing the 4-seamer. He's not throwing any slower. We've seen the velocity. We've seen 95 tonight. Point is that he was spot on his command when he got that first opportunity. You saw him wearing out the edges and setting up his secondary pitches. When you fall behind, you can't really get to your secondary pitches. His slider, it's a good pitch, but it's not great. It doesn't necessarily get him ahead, and it doesn't always bail him out. Point being, he can't just throw it repeatedly and think he's going to go through a lineup. So what ends up happening is that he's relying on that fastball. He's not hitting his spots, and he's getting hit hard. I mean, lefties are hitting 600 against his fastball. What does that tell you?
I remember getting ready for that start and waking up that morning, you know, all the numbers are updated that day, and you look at it and you say, wow, Harlan Garcia has the best ERA in baseball right now. It was at 109 before that start.
He had thrown 223 four-seam fastballs to a 170 batting average against. Since that day in Chicago, he's thrown 118, and the numbers just went up, by the way. 118. Hitters are hitting 484 with 7 homers, 6 walks, and only 1 strikeout on the four-seam fastball.
And now Marte. That's a season high 5 home runs in this ball game for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It is 8-0.
Paul, I feel like I've come to the game tonight with fake news. Chase Field has not proven to be suffering from the humidor tonight.
I swear I didn't unplug the thing. I was joking. If it is unplugged, I had nothing to do with it.
Well, it is about location. Allen has missed out over the plate twice and been made to pay for it. 8-0 Diamondbacks here in the 5th.
Popped up on the infield. See who takes it. Looks like it'll be Castro near the second base bag for out number 2. It's time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Brady Puckett is at A-ball with the Jupiter Hammerheads. 10 starts, a sub-2 ERA. How about 6 walks and 55 strikeouts? Does that work for you?
It certainly does. How about that strikeout to walk ratio? My goodness. Dominant stuff.
Amazing. 15th round pick last year. And off to a very nice start right now. A nice little run for Jupiter. 1-0 to Dyson in there for a called strike. Dyson's reached twice. He walked and scored in the second and singled in the fourth. Well, here's the thing for Garcia. That's now 11 home runs allowed in his last, counting this one, 5 outings. To Castro. And that will do it for the Diamondbacks here in the 5th. But they score 3 more and lead at 8-0. Here as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Marlon Garcia has given up a couple of home runs tonight, but 5 hit total by the Arizona Diamondbacks. This was a club that not long ago had been scuffling offensively. Seemed like the bats started to wake up in their previous series against the Cincinnati Reds, of which they won 2 out of 3. Mentioned earlier, they had scored a season high 12 runs on Wednesday, and back at it here tonight. Start your day with First Things First. Join Chris Carter, Nick Wright, and Jenna Wolf for the best morning sports show on television. First Things First, weekdays on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Your morning routine just got a whole lot more fun. JT Realmuto to lead things off. 2, 3, and 4 due up for the Marlins. Realmuto, Bohr, and Anderson against Clay Buchholz, who has a sizable lead and has been dealing in his own right. JT out to center field, and Dyson tracks it down.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
Justin Bohr. Bohr popped up in foul ground in the first and walked in the third as he takes a called strike. Again, third start for Buchholz. Went 5 in his first, went 6 in his second. And he's through 5 1/3 here tonight.
Well, he has not fallen into any patterns. He is quite efficient. All his pitches working tonight. We've seen the slow curveball that first time through a little bit more. Seen the sinker and the 4-seam fastball from Buchholz a little bit more the second time through. Now the third. There's the curveball once again.
And that is 7 strikeouts.
Let's take another look. 76 miles an hour. Bottom of the zone. Second strikeout he's picked up on that curveball tonight. 4 on the fastball, 1 on the cutter.
As Anderson digs in, it's 7 strikeouts tonight for Buchholz, most that he's had in a big league game since August of 2016, when he had 9 strikeouts against the Tampa Bay Rays. Anderson got a piece, down to a knee, 1-1. So 3 hits tonight and 1 walk. But coming into this start, this is with at least 10 innings pitched. In the National League, the lowest whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, in the first 2 starts with the team, going all the way back to 1920. Clay Buchholz tied for 5th. His whip of 0.45 coming in. So not allowing many base runners is basically how that translates. And again, he has allowed 4 base runners tonight with a season high 7 strikeouts.
Buchholz has really worked Anderson off that edge, kind of staying in the same lane, either in the outside corner or farther off. Both with the fastball, the slider, and the curve. Really hasn't given him anything to hit anywhere near the middle of the plate.
That goes flying into the netting. Thankfully, it's there. Unfortunately, Anderson strikes out to end it. That's 8 strikeouts through 6 innings of work for Clay Buchholz. The Marlins are down here in Arizona. Don Mattingly getting JT Realmuto off his legs a bit. Brian Holliday takes over behind the plate here in the bottom of the 6th inning. As Clay Buchholz will lead things off against Harlan Garcia, a called strike. It's 9-1-2 due up for the Diamondbacks. Buchholz, Descalso, and Goldschmidt. 5 home runs have been hit tonight by the Arizona Diamondbacks. As Buchholz lines one out to Brinson. There's one away. Time for T-Mobile's Hats Off for Heroes. We focus in on Michael Fulmer, cousin of a Marine Corps member. Carhartt starting rotation donates $100 per strikeout to helmets to hard hats. Very nice job for the American League Rookie of the Year back in 2016, Michael Fulmer of the Detroit Tigers. Daniel Descalso takes a called strike. Walked and scored in the first. Had the 2-run home run in the second and popped up in foul ground in the 4th.
Well, it's been a while since the Diamondbacks have hit 5 home runs in a game. Go back to May 17th of 2014. 5 versus the Dodgers. They have in fact hit 6. Let's go back a few more years from that. Back to 2012 versus the Mariners. Last 4 games, you see the 11 home runs. Of course, 5 of those tonight.
That's what was all really fascinating about the breakdown or the shutdown or the cool down, whatever you want to call it, with this offense in the month of May. As we noted before, they were 7-19 after a stretch where they were 21-8.
Right.
And looked as though they were in cruise control in the National League West as Descalso's retired for the 2nd out. And it was in that time that, you know, they were starting to pull away from the Rockies. The Dodgers had been scuffling. And now all of a sudden, you have that rough month of May, and Torey Lovullo's bunch is looking up at the Colorado Rockies. The Dodgers are starting to figure things out. Leading the Rockies right now 9-6. So this NL West, which was fun to watch all of last year, is certainly lining up to be that same sort of entertaining brand of ball throughout the summer.
Right. Well, I think what's interesting is that really you could look at every team in the National League West right now and say they've got an issue, and if they can fix the issue, they'll look good. The Diamondbacks, it's probably the offense. You go to the Dodgers, it's probably health. What about their ace? Who's Clayton Kershaw? The Rockies, same situation. Got some things that they're dealing with. They've got one of the better bullpens in the division. San Francisco Giants have had issues. They're just now getting Madison Bumgarner back. So you're right. I don't think anything's been decided, but I just think it's so interesting to see what's been going on out here. Look at the top two teams. Clayton Kershaw is all sorts of issues with the Dodgers. Goldschmidt's trying to get his swing right here with a prolonged slump in the desert. And everybody's jumped, bunched together in the division.
First and last separated by 6 games as Goldschmidt is called out on strikes. A 1-2-3 inning for Harlan Garcia. But it's 8-0 Arizona.
Brought to you by the new TV series Yellowstone, starring Kevin.
And a ball game. Start the weekend off right with Modelo Burger and Beer Fridays. Enjoy this fantastic deal on June 8th when the Marlins take on the Padres. 7:10. Tickets start at just $30. Get your tickets at marlins.com/burger.
Clay Buchholz has been rolling tonight. He has an 8-0 lead to work with. 8 strikeouts in 6 innings of work. The 1 walk, the 3 hits. As they'll face Derek Dietrich to lead things off here in the 7th. First pitch swinging and a base hit for Dietrich. His 2nd hit of this ball game.
Dietrich stays hot. He's got that batting average up over 270 now.
Moving from second base to first base, number 3, Daniel Descalso.
A multi-hit effort in the Marlins lineup tonight so far.
12th multi-hit game this year for Dietrich. He is aboard for Miguel Rojas. Saw Daniel Descalso take that throw over from Buchholz. So Paul Goldschmidt out of the ball game. Descalso moves from second to first, and Devin Marrero is in at second base. This one tapped back to Buchholz. And the throw to Descalso. Rojas retired.
Shortstop, J.T. Riddle.
Well, for Buchholz, mentioned that this is his 12th big league season. But you go all the way back to 2007. As you see Marrero at second base. 2007 threw a no-hitter second pitcher to throw a no-hitter in their first or second major league start. Wilson Alvarez back in 1992 did so. It's not supposed to be that easy. You're not supposed to just come up to the big leagues and dominate like that.
Well, he's certainly had moments of brilliance throughout his career. He's had a couple seasons where his numbers are just off the charts.
He's certainly tapping into it this year. He's been efficient tonight against the Marlins, surrendering the 4 hits, 2 of which to Derek Dietrich, who is on at second base with 1 out here in the 7th. And now Riddle a line drive into right field. Dietrich had to hold up, so it's 1st and 3rd, 1 out.
A nice swing by JT. Gets the ball a little bit higher in the zone. A couple of ground balls to the right side. This one up a little bit more, able to line it into right field. His first hit of the night. Dietrich had to hold up at second. Opportunity to break through on the scoreboard here in the 7th.
Lewis Brinson takes upstairs. Brinson 0 for 2 tonight. J.B. Shuck has moved into the on-deck circle for the Marlins, so looks like it'll just be the 2 innings tonight for Harlan Garcia. Driven out to center field. Dyson will play this one on a hop. It's a base hit for Brinson, and the Marlins are on the board.
A nice swing by Brinson. 3 hits here in the 7th. Pitch up, out over the plate, but a very nice swing as he levels off and drives it into center field. Dyson has to pull up. Good shot at making the catch. Dietrich will score, driving in the first run of the ballgame.
Pitching coach Mike Butcher out to talk with Clay Buchholz as J.B. Shuck will come into pinch hit when this meeting on the mound is over. Looks like it'll be Teheran Guerrero to pitch the bottom of this inning. Did you break the year up by months?
What do you mean?
Like, so here it is, it's June 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had a good May or a bad May, I guess is probably the better way to ask it. If you had a bad May, do you go up there and say, you know what, it's a new month, I feel different now, or anything like that? New series starting, a new month, like, is that at all?
No. A lot of guys did that. You know, it's a very good point. Yeah, that wasn't really my style. For me, it was really simple. I needed to hit the barrel consistently, and that was the one thing that always in my mind led to the success. And I felt like the more I hit the barrel, the more hits I would get, and ultimately that would turn the tide if I was struggling early in the season. So I was constantly working to the point where I would take my bat at times during batting practice, and I would put tape around the top of the barrel and just underneath the barrel, where the sweet spot is in the bat. And I would go into batting practice and I would work just tirelessly on hitting the ball off that spot of the bat over and over and over again. So for me, that's kind of how I saw the game. My generation, we didn't talk as much about launch angle. I mean, for us, it was about exit velocity and squaring up the baseball consistently. So that's constantly what I worked on, really, throughout my career. It wasn't an April thing, a May thing. The sooner I did it, though, I always believed it would kind of open up my season and I would get off and running because I'd start getting the results that I wanted. So for me, preferably April 1st, but more like April 30th is usually when it started to work for me. So I seem to sacrifice about the first 25 games. It's like one of my biggest regrets of why I couldn't hit in April.
Sounds like you're over it.
Well, and you start to chase. Well, you understand it about yourself. I mean, at some point, Justin Bourne, I think, is a classic example. I mean, many conversations with him in spring training, and he says the numbers just don't seem to show up for me in spring training. Now, it doesn't mean you don't go out and give 100%. He did every day. Doesn't mean you don't work tirelessly. It's just for whatever reason, his body, his mind don't come together till he hits maybe a point in April at some point. And what did he do in May? Much like we saw, all the start of the walks and the homers and everything starts to happen for Justin Bour, right? Almost like clockwork.
Right.
Many of us are like that. Never want to use it as an excuse, because I think you're always setting yourself up for, well, this is going to be the best April of my career, but sometimes it happens differently.
J.B. Shuck smacks this one down the left field line, but that will fall foul. I guess if I were to liken it to us regular humans, right, not the baseball players, it's kind of like a New Year's resolution, right? Like
Sort of.
If you're like me, and you clearly are not, but if you're like me, you have, you know, like 6 dinners a day leading up to Christmas. You know, like right around Thanksgiving, you really start to crush the pies. Then you're trying to work through all the leftovers. And then it's Christmas, and now you got all the cookies. And New Year's, you got all the hors d'oeuvres and everything else. You really eat like junk for about 4 or 5 weeks. But you say, you know what? On January 1st, I'm going to eat so much better.
Turn over a new leaf.
Right.
No.
So I guess that would be how it translates. As a baseball player, it's like, well, why wait till June 1st to start getting hot when I can do it on May 25th?
Right. You're never accepting of the patterns that sometimes you fall into, but I bet your players will tell you about the patterns anyway, whether we document them sabermetrically or not. We feel them and speak them all the time. I mean, we see them. I tell you things all the time that I see visually that speak to a pattern that we may be picking up on, and it's not driven by anything that I've seen on a laptop or anything that's been handed to me.
Right.
It's just you can see it in the body language of ball players. You can see it in how they see the game. Sometimes when a guy's struggling, when a guy feels hot. Just like I said to you tonight, I can almost pencil in Dietrich's going to get 2 hits tonight. He's seeing the ball as well as he's seen it all season long. He's locked in, and what's he got? Here we are halfway through this game, a little later in. He's got 2 hits already.
To Descalso, unable to come up with it, and Shuck is going to beat it out. The bases are going to be loaded for the Marlins here in the 7th.
I told you about the many positions that Descalso plays. Moves over to first base. This one eats him up on the backhand. Shuck hits it over the top of the baseball on the curve. It's a big spot. Looks like Buchholz is going to continue on here at 92 pitches, soon to be 93. Starlin's had some nice at bats tonight. Lined out to deep center field his last time up, had a single in the first.
Well, down by 7 with 1 out in the 7th. We're a little bit past the start chipping away moments of the ball game. You really need to come through in a big way with the top of the order due up. Oh, 0-1 with 1 out. The base is loaded for the Marlins against Clay Buchholz. His first real jam he has been in this ball game. Low, a ball and a strike to Castro. Jorge De La Rosa may already be warm in the Diamondbacks bullpen. But it's Buchholz here, delivering a 1-1 to Castro. Pops this one up. Marrero calling everybody off. It's going to be an infield fly, and there are 2 away.
Well, Buchholz able to entice just above the top of the strike zone. Castro going after that high pitch.
So now it's Brian Holiday, who came in as a defensive replacement for JT Realmuto in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Brian starting San Diego at 1 for 4. He's been swinging the bat pretty well.
0-1 to Holiday. And they check. He went around 0-2.
Well, this breaking ball, 12-6. It's enticing. You see it a long time. It doesn't have a whole lot of velocity behind it. It's sort of about 74, 75 miles an hour right now. If you can see it long enough, it's definitely a hittable pitch.
Blocked by Murphy. A ball and 2 strikes. Dietrich started the inning with a base hit. Rojas grounded out. Then singles by Riddle and Brinson. Brinson drove in a run. Shuck reached on an error. Castro the infield fly. They are loaded with 2 outs. And a called strike 3. Looked like it might have been off the edge, but Holiday rung up, and the Marlins leave him loaded. It's an 8-1 lead.
Big story, but a great story. So good to see Danny Farquhar back on a baseball field for the first time since suffering a brain hemorrhage from a ruptured aneurysm back in April. Farquhar threw out the ceremonial first pitch for the White Sox today. He was joined by his family and surrounded by his teammates on the mound. Guys, that is a beautiful moment that took place today in baseball.
It absolutely is. Thank you very much, Jessica. Appreciate it. An 8-1 deficit for the Marlins as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Teheran Guerrero takes over for Miami. Their 3rd pitcher of the night in his 28th game this year.
And we, along with everybody, celebrating Danny Farquhar. Good to see him back up on the mound. My goodness. It was a very, very scary moment a few months ago. See him back already, and I know there's hope that he will pitch again in 2019.
Yeah, there was a huge sigh of relief that A, it looked like he was going to be okay, and that B, his baseball career was not over. So yes, of course, our thoughts are with him, his family, and his road to recovery.
Jake Lamb has snapped out of it. We mentioned coming into tonight's ball game, 1 for 17. He's been struggling.
Lined out to Brinson, who tracks it down in the gap.
Now see, that's paybacks right there. That's the baseball paybacks for that squibber down the 3rd baseline a little bit. His 2nd at bat. That's how it works.
One's a line drive in the box score. The other one's an actual line drive.
But you kind of balance it out. So there's like his 2nd hit. He'd say, "Oh, you know, I hit that ball hard."
You hitters and how you justify things. It's amazing. But I would tend to agree with you.
You try to succeed at something that they're going to give you a success rate at about 30%.
No,
if you're
absolutely.
really good at it.
You made a great point before about the dates on the calendar, and I likened it to New Year's Day.
Right.
Well, same thing. If I skip breakfast one day, what do you think that means? I'm having twice as big a dinner.
That's right.
Still 3 meals.
Burn the candle from both ends, right?
Same thing. Exactly. It's the same thing. I'm with you. John Ryan Murphy, 3 homers in his last 3 games. Burst on the scene this year with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Spent a little bit of time with him last year, but now clamoring for more playing time as the other 2 catchers on this roster haven't done a whole heck of a lot recently, and Murphy has picked up the slack.
He's in the 4 spot in the lineup, for crying out loud. I mean, he's doing all sort of things. Basically the admission, and the fact that Lovullo was willing to put him in the 4 spot in the lineup not only speaks to how hot he's been, but how cold others have been as well.
Alex Avila and Jeff Mathis combining for a 100 batting average and no home runs in May. And we've certainly noted the numbers of John Ryan Murphy, who has yet another home run to make it 8 on the year. Born in Bradenton, Florida, John Ryan Murphy committed to the University of Miami before he signed with the Yankees. A 2nd-round pick in 2009. Slaps one the other way, a base hit. A 1-out knock in the 7th.
Well, he has got it going on right now. He is finding the barrel on just about everything. Home run, long home run to left. Just took a 98-mile-an-hour fastball off the outer edge and lined it to right. That's called locked in.
And that home run before gave him an extra base hit or more, at least 1 extra base hit in each of his last 5 games. He's on first for David Peralta, who hit a solo home run in the 3rd, also had an RBI single in the 1st. D-backs scored 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, and 3 in the 5th. They chased Eliezer Hernandez after 3 innings of work. No swing, 2-0. 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs for Hernandez. Harlan Garcia worked 3 innings, 4 hits, and 3 earned runs. And now Teheran Guerrero working the 7th. Here comes the 2-1 from Guerrero, fouled straight back. Well, on this Friday night around Major League Baseball, there's still a handful of games going on the West Coast.
Well, the Dodgers and the Rockies, my goodness, 9-7 now. Bottom 8 in Colorado.
How about the rough news for the Dodgers? They waited, roughly a month to get Clayton Kershaw back. He throws 5 innings last night, an MRI on the back, and now he's back to the disabled list.
Yeah, for me personally, and again, merely my opinion, I'm certainly not a doctor, but doesn't it seem that whatever it is that he is dealing with in his back needs to be dealt with, like, once and for all? I mean, maybe it's easy for me to say that, but it always seems like
that's going to be a double play.
It seems like the conversation's over.
And yet it's not. We go to the 8th. Marlins down by 7. Refreshing finish here at Chase Field, where we came here. We thought, well, there's not going to be a lot of offense, right? Not the case at all. First Daniel Descalso, then Jake Lamb, then Peralta, John Ryan Murphy, and Ketel Marte connecting on home runs. 5 in the game for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And with that, we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth with you. First of a 3-game set. Glad that you're with us. Staying up a little late on the East Coast, but thanks for doing that. It has been all Diamondbacks in this ballgame.
Well, it really has. The 5 home runs says an awful lot about their offense, and maybe there's more offense to be found. I think the Diamondback conversation really coming into this series was that games might be low scoring. You might see some pitchers duels and a mighty bullpen. They certainly have one, but that has not been the case tonight, as the 5 home runs has really kind of set the stage for where we are in this one, chasing 7.
New pitcher is Jorge De La Rosa. So the day is done for Clay Buchholz, and certainly impressive. 7 innings and 6 hits. He struck out 9. So De La Rosa in. And the first pitch to Justin Bour is a base hit through the shift to lead off the 8th.
Nice swing by JB, his first hit of the night. MLB at Bat is your #1 app for Marlins baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Marlins home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Brian Anderson takes a called strike. Anderson, couple of strikeouts. As De La Rosa works in his 27th game this season. Opponents hitting a little more than 200 off of him.
27th game, only 19 innings. Generally viewed as the lefty specialist. We'll see how long he's out for. No activity in the Diamondbacks bullpen yet. First pitch base hit to Bour.
That on the ground to Marte. Marrero over to Descalso, and it's a 6-4-3 double play.
Well, this hit hard. An easy turn. That's typically how most double plays are. The harder they're hit, the easier they are to finish off.
So 2 outs for Derek Dietrich, who has a couple of hits in this ball game. But outside from De La Rosa.
Now, speaking to the mix or even the efficiency of Buchholz, now that he's done tonight, 7 of his 9 strikeouts came on 4 pitches or less. Definitely got it going on.
7 innings of work, 9 strikeouts, 99 pitches, 71 for strikes. That is a terrific ratio.
Well, when you see the 7 of 9 come on 4 pitches or less, that tells you that not only is the arsenal working, but hitters aren't even fouling off a lot of pitches. The 2-strike approach, the shorten up with the ball in play, that's not even working tonight. It just speaks to where Buchholz is at. And I'll tell you what, in my opinion, that big breaking ball, 76 miles an hour, and he threw enough of them to keep this Marlins lineup off balance all night long.
And it's not like he was blowing anybody away with crazy velocity either. Average speed on the fastball was 90 miles an hour. On the 4-seamer, the 2-seamer was a little under 90. Cutter was 85. As Zach Greinke gets set for his start tomorrow night in the middle game of this 3-game series.
I didn't see him shake off one time tonight. That tells you he's got trust in all of his pitches.
Caleb Smith on the other side of the pitching matchup tomorrow. Marlins live pregame show at 9:30 tomorrow night. A 10:10 first pitch back in Florida. 3 games, 3 different start times. I'll miss at least one bus. Dietrich out to center field, hit well, way back and off the wall. And hit high up on the batter's eye in straightaway center field. And Chris Owings able to collect it. Owings, by the way, this inning moved from right to center, and Socrates Brito out to right field. But another double for Dietrich.
Well, no surprise here. Finds the barrel once again. Pitch to his liking. Key to hot hitting: don't miss your pitch. The best part about this is that Owens has no idea he's got the ball. Yes, I do. Well, there's a little smile after that. Every now and again it happens. You're thinking, boy, there's no way I just fielded that. And yes, you did.
When you're up 8-1, you can have a chuckle about things like that. 4th 3-hit game this year for Derek Dietrich. A double and 2 singles, and here is Miguel Rojas.
Second 3-hit game in a row.
That'll boost the average. Rojas, 3 groundouts tonight. How about this? Dietrich added 20 points to his batting average in the last 2 days. He was at 255 after the 1 for 4 on May 29th. 3 hits yesterday, 3 hits today. He's up to 276. And a called strike 3 will end the top of the 8th inning. To the last of the 8th here at Chase Field with the Diamondbacks in front. Game of this series, but tomorrow, Marlins live pregame show on the air at 9:30 Eastern Time, as it's Caleb Smith on the mound against former Cy Young winner Zack Greinke, who has been on so far in 2018. That'll be fun to watch. Again, middle game of 3.65 ERA for Greinke, but there have certainly been some gems mixed in along the way, and a guy who a couple of years back had an unbelievable year with the Los Angeles Dodgers, as Ketel Marte fouls one off his foot. You see Brad Ziegler on the mound, pitching for the first time since being taken out of the closer role in his 25th game. 9 for 10 in save opportunities, but a 7.83 ERA. It's been the non-save situations that have really hurt Ziegler. The Florida Lottery called the bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen card's back. Wait a minute, Zig, what are you doing, man? Listen, if you're going to ride the bullpen cart, you got to ride it all the way to the mound.
I don't think it's like a golf cart. You can't ride it on the greens.
Yeah, but he got off behind first base. I think he was letting his players come out. Listen, if you're going to make the grand entrance, make the grand entrance. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking come all the way down, maybe towards home plate, come out there. I mean, listen, nobody's doing anything around home plate. We're waiting on you to pick up the baseball and get loose. Right? Just make your way out to the mound. Look, there's even a little line there between the mound and home plate.
You're right. You make solid points. Now,
good to see it back. I mean, I grew up with the bullpen cart, and I don't know what Major League Baseball was doing when they said go away. But now that it's back, baseball's back. Love it.
You have to tip the guy?
That's a pretty good question. It's a great question.
So an out to right field, and another home run for the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte with his second of the game. First multi-home run game of Marte's career. Stretches it to a 9-1 Diamondbacks lead.
He kept his hands back just long enough. That ball kind of crosses just above the knees. Watch again. Ziegler loves and needs to have that sink. I think back to when he was really, really hot. The ball was doing lots of movement towards the hitting zone.
Grounded to Riddle. Dug out by Bohr, one away.
And I think some of Ziggs' struggles has been that his ball's been backing up, and sometimes you'll see it. Again, it's never a conversation about velocity, but even at 83, 84, when that ball kind of makes its way into the hitting zone, it needs to start kind of dive bombing, falling off the table. And you know, right now for Ziegler, that ball is kind of coming in and starting to dive, but not really kind of getting to the bottom of the zone or lower.
Socrates Brito swinging at the first pitch. Well, it hasn't just been Ziegler tonight giving up the home run. Garcia gave up home runs, and Eliezer Hernandez gave up home runs. So it's 6 tonight for Arizona to tie a franchise record. Last time they hit 6 in a game, June of 2012 against Seattle. It's also the same day that they had 5 or more players with a home run in a game. So a total team effort for Torey Lovello's club in the opener of this 3-game series. And the 6th time, the 6th player that is in Diamondbacks franchise history, that a player is homered from both sides of the plate. So Ketel Marte joins that crew. Brito called up from AAA Reno on May 22nd. He's 1 for 7 in the series with an RBI against the Cincinnati Reds. Takes upstairs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Driven out to right center field. Brinson makes the catch. That is a long run out there. 413 into right center field, and Brinson tracks it down 2 away.
Well, this is not an easy catch, Marlins fans. My goodness, there is a ledge. You see the yellow line running across the top. That extends out over the field. Brinson got his first taste of it right there. Running into that little Bermuda Triangle, as we used to reference. That ledge right there, a lot of times the ball will come down just near that edge, and you're not sure if it's going to actually hit the ledge or cut underneath. Nice job making the catch. You just got to kind of blindly trust that that ball is not going to get hung up in the ledge.
Jorge De La Rosa takes low and away. Yeah, there are some funky nooks and crannies out there. You go from line to line at this ballpark. There's a number of little tricky angles. This one tapped back to Ziegler. And that is out number 3. We are through 8. Diamondbacks in front in the opener here at Chase Field. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, in pursuit of your cure. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. A nice night here at Chase Field weather-wise, but it has been all Diamondbacks. 9 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error. 1-8-1 for the Marlins. As we head to the top of the 9th inning now, last chance for Miami as they will face Jorge De La Rosa just as they did in the last inning. JT Riddle to lead things off against De La Rosa. Riddle, Brinson, and the number 9 spot in the order for the Marlins. As Riddle swings and misses. Riddle had a hit in his last trip to the plate in the 7th inning. Chops this one to first base. And he's tagged out by Descalso, 1 away. Coming up after the ball game, the WB Mason Marlins Live post-game show. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson. Hear from Don Mattingly as well, as De La Rosa came up lame on that play.
Well, let's take another look. JT Riddle tapper to the right side. I'll tell you what, he felt it right away before he even took his first step off the mound. It has something to do with the way he landed. I hate to speculate, but he is coming out of the ball game.
And walking off, albeit gingerly. And whoever is going to come in for the Diamondbacks is going to get as much time as they need. Time for the Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here in the 9th inning at Chase Field. There will be a new pitcher here in the 9th inning with 1 out. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. It's good to have options. That's why the Florida Lottery has 70 unique scratch-off games. So add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Well, a 9-1 lead here for the Arizona Diamondbacks as we play here in the 9th inning, as Fernando Salas will take his time to get ready. We're going to show you our first installment here, a little preview of Tales from the Chair with Marlins team barber, Juice.
It was cool because, you know, you heard the buzz and people talking and, the shop talk and all. Oh, Miami's got a team. We're going to have a team. We're going to have a team. So I was like, and everybody was talking about, oh, they got this guy and about this guy. And I was like, well, I don't even know who these guys are.
And look at you now, 20 years.
I'm like the original Marlin.
The original Marlin. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's Juice, affectionately known as Juice. And he's got his little barbershop set up in the ballpark. And have you gone in there?
Well, I have. It's been a long time. I mean, I did way back in the day. I've been in there recently, if that's what you're asking.
I walked in there the other day. I had to thank him. He helped me out because unfortunately,
well, I know he didn't help you out with a haircut.
No. I screwed this one up myself. But yeah, I had to ask him about little tips and tricks on where to get some equipment for my own haircut.
I got you. Well, that's right.
But yeah, so we'll actually have plenty more of those little tidbits with Juice as we gear up for Throwback Weekend, June 8th through the 10th.
I'll tell you what, Juice has become the man over about 2 decades now.
Yeah.
The word around the league, you're anywhere near your time to get a haircut and you're making your way to Miami, you're playing the Marlins, you're doing your best to get to Juice.
Right.
Everybody knows about it. We saw Bryce Harper just in town over the weekend. Bryce came out with a fresh cut. It was about Saturday.
Yeah.
Little trim on the side, a little longer up top, right? Hooked him up. All right, back to action here in the 9th. 1 down. Brinson gets the at-bat against Salas.
Brinson had an RBI single back in the 7th inning. And not exactly sure what happened. Looked like a leg, ankle area issue, lower leg issue for Jorge De La Rosa. I'm sure as this series goes along, we'll get word as to what that was. Brinson fouls it back. Time now for Lowe's whole team together, and it has certainly been a team effort tonight for Toy Lavello's Arizona Diamondbacks. But on the defensive side of things, They made one error tonight to break their tie with the Colorado Rockies for the second fewest in the National League. They have played some crisp defense so far here in 2018. Salas deals, and Brinson works the walk.
Nice job laying off the elevated fastball. Went up there, got the swing. Brinson fouled it off, kind of gave you that I shouldn't have swung at that. That's on top of the strike zone. Went back up there again, able to lay off. Well done.
Pitch hitting for Brad Ziegler, number 1, Cameron Maven.
So Cameron Maben in off the bench to hit in the number 9 spot now. They won't hold Brinson on at first with a 8-run lead. Still scoring runs out in Colorado. It is 11-8 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Runners on the corners and 2 outs. I mean, you played enough there. It's like the games are never over.
Awesome.
Doesn't matter what the score is, how many outs are. It is never over.
I played in about every kind of game you could play, and I think a lot of it almost always takes me back to a Colorado angle. Played in a game. Think back to my early Dodger days. We were in playing the Rockies. It seemed like we flip-flopped every inning, and both teams scored like every inning. I think by the end it was like 16 out of the 18 frames,
right.
Half frames. It was like 1-2, 2-1, 3-1, 1-1. I mean, it went on all game long.
Right.
It's unbelievable. I think the final score was like 15-14.
Wow. They're fun games. The next road trip is
right.
out in Colorado. Baltimore, San Francisco, Colorado. As Maben chops one to third. They get one, but he's going to beat it out. 2 away in the 9th.
Second baseman, Starlin Castro.
They've been hustling all the way, extending this game for at least another out. Starlin Castro, a 5th at bat. Singleton at bat number 1. He's put the ball in the air the last 3 times.
The last hope for the Marlins. Got a piece of that one, fouled it away, 0-1. Dodgers held on to win that game 11-8. Oh, 2 to Castro. It's away from Murphy, and up 90 feet goes Maben. Well, the bullpen is strength for the Diamondbacks. Granted, it's an 8-run lead right now, but a lot of weapons in that pen. Salas, the 1.29 ERA over his last 7. Yoshihisa Hirano, who we did not see tonight, has been solid. Archie Bradley, setup man, and Brad Boxberger. None will be needed tonight, however, as Castro grounds out to short to end it. And the Diamondbacks take the opener of this series by a final count of 9-1. Our Marlins Live postgame show coming up live from the field with Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson on the other side of the break. For Todd Hollingsworth, Jessica Blaylock, and our entire crew, Paul Severino saying thanks so much for watching. Again, Marlins Live postgame is next.